Welcome back to this segment of Joy in Our Town. I'm your host, Felicia Taylor. And joining us in studio is the Honorable Mayor of Prattville, Mayor Bill Gillespie, and we'd like to welcome you to the show.
Well, thank you. Proud to be here.
Always good to have you here. Mayor, let's talk about what's going on in the city of Prattville.
Well, we have quite a few little projects going on. You know, I think the splash pad made quite a bit of noise whenever that contest was going on, and so we're trying to move forward on that and have that ready. It'd be nice to have it by July, but it's probably going to be more towards September. Okay. We're still working on our biking and walking and hiking trails and just a lot of outdoor activities. I think a lot of people have heard us talk about the Pratt Gin projects, which are some condos or apartments in downtown, and we have some more meetings set up for some of those, and hopefully in the very near future there'll be some announcements of some retail shops coming into the High Point Center, and we're actually working closely with the High Point Center, and we're trying to have things coordinated where we might have like a police substation out there, and just trying to get our presence known and all around Prattville, but we're also working very closely with the Watauga County commissioners and the Board of Education superintendent and the county, the representatives from those districts. Matter of fact, we have a tri-governmental meeting coming up in the very, very near future. And I think it's very important that all the governments work together, come together, because you know, it's the role. One of the roles of government, in my mindset, is that we're there to provide an environment for private enterprise to flourish, and for some of that to happen, you've got to have a qualified workforce, which means you need an educated, healthy, and happy workforce, and of course there's other areas. You know, earlier we were talking about faith, family, and friends, and you throw food in there. You got to have all of those for a community to mesh and bond together and move forward in the future. That's
it, and it makes for a healthy future. Let's talk about economics in Prattville. Where are you right now?
We're better today than we were 2 years ago. Okay. Our funding, we have roughly about $5 million worth of cash on hand, but it's encumbered monies. It means someone has to go toward debt or has to go toward some other project, something along that line. So it's where we are considerably better than what we were before. I know we owed $1.8 million for our employee health care fund, and did not have really, we had about $20,000 in the bank. Now we have about $800,000 in the bank for that entity, and where we still do owe them some monies, but it's not near what it was. So our financial footprint is a lot better, a lot more, the stability is a lot better there. Some of that is some of the measures that we had to take. We had to make some adjustments on our wastewater fees and some other fees, and of course we had to implement a 1 penny extension in our sales tax. But that was just one of the mechanisms that got us to where moving in the direction we needed to. The people of Prattville, the citizens of Prattville, the employees that we have, the department heads, the hard work that the council has done, it's just been a community effort, in my opinion, to get us to the steps that we have arrived to today.
So what are some of the other plans? I know you talked about some of the developments that are coming to even make the debt more, you know, as far as getting rid of the old debt. What are some of the other plans that you have in place?
Well, we're looking also doing some restructuring of the, you know, the finances of some of the bonds to get them at a lower rate, which will actually, some of the last numbers I heard, being a very conservative number, will save the city about $500,000. Okay. And that's being very conservative. It's probably about $600,000, but you know, want to be a little on the conservative side there. But we're looking at some more reorganization inside the city. I'm looking at a public works division, which will actually help streamline some things and help cut costs. We're looking at essential purchasing supply for the city of Prattville, which will cut costs. So, I mean, we're trying to do everything that we can to cut costs without putting more burden on the taxpayers of the city of Prattville, but also trying to boost lodging fees collection, where our Chamber of Commerce is funding off a certain percentage of lodging fees. And I'm working with the councils that hopefully next year our Parks and Recs department will be funded not only off of their fees that they collect for certain activities, but also a certain percentage of the lodging taxes. So then that way, when you combine those two groups together, the Chamber of Commerce and the Parks and Recs, then they work stronger together than separate entities, which will hopefully bring in more tourism, which are sort of your what you call clean dollars.
Sure.
But we're looking at Parks and Recs. For baseball, softball, soccer, you name it, archery, biking, hiking. So we're trying to be a little bit of a central Alabama mecca for Parks and Recs.
So the debt has been with Prattville for about 2 years now, and so you're looking at what, maybe the next how many years to be maybe leveled out?
Well, the debt's actually been around a lot longer than that because, and excuse me for not remembering the date, but whenever Robert Trent Jones came, the city of Prattville, if memory serves me correctly, I think they put in about $6 million into the Robert Trent Jones project, which that debt had not been paid down. And we're still working on that debt. I mean, we still have a lot of long-term debt, but the debt is down considerably than what it was before, and we have a very good handle on our financial livelihood, but we're still not where we need to be yet.
So why the 1 cent sales tax as opposed to some other measure?
Well, after coming in as mayor, we pretty much did a crash and burn scenario, and that was in the end of February, 1st of March. And looking that over, we were not going to be able to meet our payroll for the first pay period in May. And also with the realizing that the role of government, the local government, we were there to provide services, and we had pretty much a core group of services that we're there to provide, which is, you got your public safety, your public works, or environmental services, which are pretty much sanitation and wastewater. Then you have some of your creative and quality of life products, which are performing creative arts and Parks and Recs, which, when you look at the big picture, it's a big economic development wheel. And you have all of them as spokes that are coming out. And you cannot just pick one, in my opinion, and say, this is what we're going to focus on as being our economic development. As I mentioned earlier, you got to have a quality workforce. So your education is part of that. You got to have a good infrastructure as far as streets and then water, sanitation, wastewater. I mean, it's a whole picture.
All goes hand in hand.
And so it's my view, my administration, is we're looking at the complete wheel and not just a spoke of it. And I think that it's going to pay off in the end. We still have some more growing pains to go through, but the economic times that we're in, I think that it's a given that you have to think outside the box. You know, the old saying, this is the way that we've always done it, and I've got to
try something different.
I've got that framed on my desk. It says, this is the way we've always done it, and it has a universal circle and slash through there, because it just, a lot of times the old way of doing things was, well, you have a problem, we'll throw a little more money at it. And we just, I don't think anybody in the country or even in the world can even continue to do that.
That's right. So the tax hike has already gone into effect, correct?
The 1 penny,
Yes,
it's,
the 1 cent.
the council, they extended it for an additional 19 years.
Okay.
Which I do have some thought processes of trying to, and being in the administrative side of it now, I've, I guess tongue-in-cheek a little bit, have always called the general fund as being the black hole, that you get a lot of revenue sources that go in there, but it's sort of difficult to really manage, not manage, but track exactly all those funds that come in. They just go in and they go out to various ones. And what I'm trying to do is set up is, with the enterprise funds that we have done with sanitation and wastewater, they have their own fees that they collect, so they're going to their own shoebox. As I mentioned earlier with Parks and Recs, with the fees and hopefully the lodging taxes with council approval, that will go into their shoebox. And then we have a judicial department that collects fees. I'm going to have their own shoebox. So if we can have them all go into their own separate shoeboxes,
Self-sustain.
which when you get into big government, earmarking is a bad thing. But I think at this level, if you say it's earmarked
Yes.
And it's going for this, just as with the lodging tax, if a certain percentage is going toward parks and recs, which brings in baseball tournaments, soccer tournaments, which helps fill some of the hotels, it just goes hand in hand that's how they ought to be funded. So it's I'm trying to do a little triage, have their own capabilities of raising their budget without raising the taxes. Long term, if you get that going in the right direction, then hopefully you can lower sales taxes, but then still that will invite more shoppers to come in, and so it's just a mechanism that hopefully will be self-sufficient.
Very good. I'm glad you mentioned shoppers. How are you keeping people in the Prattville area, or what are the plans to keep them shopping locally?
Okay, well, that's a good question there, and I think one of the first things you have to do after you have something for them to come look for, shop for, you know, have that mechanism there. The second thing I think is they have to feel welcomed and also feel safe, and I think that we have that all the way covered. We're working with the Chamber of Commerce, we're working with our Parks and Recs, our creative arts people. Where social media is really big.
Yes,
I'm highly challenged in that area.
Yes.
But we have some really good people there. Then just the social media. I've thrown out some different little challenges, mayoral challenges for, you know, during the Christmas time and all that, you know, put on a few pounds. So we've threw out a mayoral challenge as far as trying to stay healthy there, and I've asked some of the restaurants to come up with a healthy type meal.
Very good.
And so it's just doing a lot of promotion, a lot of marketing, and I'm not a guru there, but we got a lot of good people that know how to promote and market, and then also the outdoor activities is going to be very big for me in this quadrennium. The canoe trail, the biking, hiking, you know, the splash pad I talked about earlier. And before I came over here, I just left a pool committee meeting, and we're looking at different ways. Last year we had a retro day where it was $1 for a hot dog and 25 cents to get in. So it's just ways of being creative and trying to get the word out there to people.
Very good, Mayor Gillespie. Thank you so much. It sounds great and promising, so we'll keep our eyes on you, and best of luck. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for joining us on this segment of Joy in Our Town. Join us again next time for more of Joy in Our Town.